Playing audio files in JavaScript is fairly straightforward. The difficult part of building an audio player is in dealing with multiple sounds. Let's take a look at what it takes to build an audio jukebox. We're going to write a JavaScript program that's going to play our audio files. Now, the first thing we need to do is to write a piece of code that deals with playing the audio files when somebody clicks on any one of these elements. What we need to do is make sure that every one of these list items communicate with our piece of JavaScript. So I'm going to replace the current list items with ones that have an on-click handler. As you can see, I've modified each one of these line items to include an on-click handler that calls a function called doAudio and passes along any information of the current list item. Now I'm going to add a bit of JavaScript that will play the audio files when these line items are clicked. So we pass information about the line items into this variable called audio item. And the first thing we do is create an element on the page that will store our audio file. We're going to add this audio element into the body of our page. It doesn't really matter where it goes because audio doesn't really have a visual element, so it won't appear on the page. Next, we find out what the source attribute of the file that was clicked on is and store it as the source element of our new audio element. Finally, we execute the play method to play that audio, and we set the ID of our new audio element to playing. That way, we'll be able to target it later. Let's see how that works. So as soon as we click on any one of these files, it starts playing a piece of audio. There's a couple of problems that we have to fix. Number one, you can play more than one audio file at the same time. The next problem is that when an audio file finishes, the computer doesn't know that the sound has finished playing. And so we need to make sure that we trap that and we delete the audio source from the page. You can see when that audio file finishes playing, the interface doesn't update because the audio file still exists in our audio tag that we created. So we'll need to fix both of those. Now I'm going to replace this function with a function that takes care of preventing multiple files from playing at the same time. In this version of our function, we've created a variable called current audio source to store the location or the source of the current audio file. We can use that later on to compare it to see if the audio file that's playing is the same as the one that we've clicked on. Here's our same function. So here's an if statement that checks to see if the source of the current audio file is empty. If it's empty, then it'll play a file. If it's not empty, that means if a file is already playing, then it won't play this. Here, we store the audio source of the file that we clicked on into this variable, so that if somebody else tries to click on another file, this if statement will prevent it from playing. If I try to play multiple files, the code won't let me. Now we need to fix the problem where the interface doesn't know when a file has stopped playing. We'll add a bit of code right here that takes care of that. When this audio element is created, we attach to it an event listener. An event listener is a piece of code that waits for something to happen in the file. In this case, we're going to wait to see if the current audio file has ended playing. If it has, then we're going to execute the rest of this function. Once a file has stopped playing, we're going to remove the playing attribute from the audio source. Then we're going to set the current audio source to nothing so that we can play another file. Finally, we're going to remove the audio from the body of the page. Notice that there's only one audio file. So when we check the document to see if there's any elements that have the tag name audio, I only have to check the very first element. Now we want to be able to play and pause the current song. So we're going to add a piece of code to handle that. Here we're going to check if the item that we clicked on is the same as the item that is currently playing. If the ID of that item is playing, then we pause the current file, and we set the ID of that item to paused. Otherwise, if that item is paused, we start playing it. and we set the ID to playing. Now we can pause our files. We can also continue to play them, but we still can't play other files in the interface. If this is not the current song that we've clicked on, then we need to find the item with an ID of paused and remove the ID, or the item with the ID of playing and also remove the ID. That will take care of clearing out any currently playing files. We're going to reset the audio source to nothing, and we're going to remove the audio element from the page. Finally, we're going to call this exact same function with the item that we clicked on, and then it'll play. Working with audio files is not really that hard, but you really have to watch out for when you add multiple files and other features to your players. If you like how easy playing sounds with HTML5 is, you're going to love how easy playing videos is. Since you already know about sounds, you already know how to play videos. In the next chapter, we're going to take a look at that.